Hey, y'all. So listen, we are in a crazy time right now. They're talking about cutting SNAP benefits, and so many people are worried about like going without eating or not being able to afford food. Then on top of that, guys, even if SNAP benefits were not being cut, it's the fact that inflation is at an all-time high. Everything is so high. Food is constantly going up, especially meats. So in this video, I wanted to take the time out to teach you guys about how to spread meals, spreadable items that you can repeat to give you more meals, and of course, how to save you some money. Okay, so let's get into it. I made a little list here. I just so happened to go to the grocery store yesterday because I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I was telling my husband has been going to the grocery store. He kind of started doing that during pregnancy. And I'm telling him, look, I can spread a dollar way further. So it was kind of like a challenge. And I was like, you know what? At the same time, what our economy is going through, the fact that you don't know what we're up against, we need to be prepared. So you need to know how to spread your food. You need to know how to still be fulfilled. You need to know how to save money. You can cut down your grocery bill. And most importantly, prepare for emergencies. Okay. So I made this little list. Y'all know I cook for my family all of the time. I also come from a really big family of 16. So again, I know how to spread a dollar. Okay. Let's get into it. Okay. And I know that this is going to really help a lot of people. Now, starting out, spreadable items. And let me first just say this, y'all. And the fact that we're getting into fall, if you really want something that's going to spread and make things in bulk, you have to think things like soups, stews, chili, pasta, lasagna, right? Those are things that you can get multiple meals out of for multiple days. Okay. So keep that in mind. And sometimes it's just a matter of being creative. You have to be really creative in the kitchen. Okay. Now, if that's not your thing, then again, I'm going to get into some other things that you can do. So let's get into like spreadable sides, things that you should have in your pantry at all times. And you can do a lot of things with the items that I'm about to give you. Okay. Beans, veggies, potatoes, veggies don't go in your pantry, but you know what I mean. Beans, veggies, rice, and potatoes. Okay. Beans. Now, as it pertains to beans, you can compare what's in the can versus what's in the bag. I like to think in bulk. Now, of course, all the time, you're not going to be able to make fresh beans because you know they take hours and hours if you do them right, right? They take hours to cook. So you may just go with the can. Also, you have to think emergency non-perishables. So both of these are non-perishables, but you just compare, y'all. Another thing, when you go in that grocery store, you have to be good at math, okay? Catch the deals, catch the sales. If they say this is, 12 ounces for this price, but the 15 ounces or the 20 ounce is this price and it's just a dollar or more, get the best bang for your buck because you're thinking what can go further. We're stretching out our meals. Okay. Veggies, you have to discern between what's fresh and what's frozen. Of course, you're going to get the better bang for your buck frozen vegetables. Okay. Because a lot of times you can get like 3 for 5, 10 for 10, 2 for 3, things like that. So you can catch some really good sales on frozen vegetables. And y'all, you just got to be able to sauce them up and finagle them, right? And make them still taste good. Now, there are some veggies that I am not going to budge on. I have to have them fresh. And if that's the case for you, then you need to think, is it really needed? Is this something that I cannot go without? If I had to, hold on, y'all, Melody is crying. You also have to understand with like frozen veggies, you'll be able to keep them longer. The shelf life is so much longer opposed to buying fresh where you have to use almost immediately. Okay. So there are going to be some items where you might have to really compare canned items versus fresh versus frozen. Okay. And you'll get in the groove of things as you go. Now, sometimes when I do, hold on one second. Sometimes when I do canned items, like say I do buy canned beans, one of my little secrets is I will wash off whatever that stuff is in that can on my beans, and then I'll put them in a broth and I'll add my seasonings and I'll spice them up that way. So that's just another way that you can really make it work. You have to think like this, okay? One starch with every meal, either rice, potatoes, or beans. Okay. You can do so much with rice. Okay. So much with rice. You can make fried rice. You can make white rice. You can, do all different flavors in your rice. There's so many different ways that you can do it. Same thing with potatoes. You can make fresh cut fries. You can make mashed potatoes. You can make soups. It's so many. Oh my gosh, y'all. I do so many things with potatoes. We literally keep a 5-pound bag in rotation because it is one of our favorite sides. And because it's a starch, it's a little bit more fulfilling. So if you think one starch, either rice, beans, or potatoes, then at least 2 veggies. Okay. Do whatever that is, whether it's corn. These are very inexpensive. Corn, peas, broccoli, cauliflower. You can find all of these frozen. Spinach. Not a fan of frozen spinach, but I'm just saying, carrots, peas, green beans. All of these you can find frozen in bags, and you can literally stretch them out, and they're very, very inexpensive. I mean, sometimes you can find bags of these items for $1, $1.50, $2. So stock up on your veggies. So now you have your starch, you have 2 veggies, and then let's get into the meat, literally. Okay, so meats are one of those things that's really going up. Y'all know what's crazy is that I didn't know back in the day, eating meat was considered like a luxury. They were mostly vegetarian, and then just occasionally they'll have meat. It wasn't like an everyday thing. So what you really want to do with these meals, the reason why I said a starch and then two veggies is because you want to build around the meat. You don't want the meat to be one of the main things, if that makes sense, especially if it's the most expensive. You see what I'm saying? Now, for me personally, we eat a lot of fish. We're mostly pescatarian here in this family. It's really me. It's really me, y'all. I'm pescatarian. Now, my kids and my husband, they still eat a little bit of beef, a little bit of turkey, chicken. They don't really eat, but they will. You know what I'm saying? Well, y'all know I don't eat beef, pork, or chicken. I haven't for like over 10 years, but I do eat fish and I do eat seafood. So let me tell you how to really shop your meats. For one, you may have to visit a different grocery store, okay? Not the biggest chain store. You may have to visit a store that still does the what is it called? 5 for 20, right? I'm here in Arkansas. We have what's called an Edwards Food Giant, and they still do like the 5 for 20. So you're able to get so many different meats: chicken, catfish, pork, beef, all types of meat. So I started there with my family. We eat, like I said, a lot of fish. I was able to get like, I forgot how many pounds, but I was able to get a bag of catfish nuggets. And you can get, again, 5 different meats for $20. So because that's majority of what we eat, I got 4 bags of that. And then I also got them some ground turkey for like if they wanted burgers or tacos or something like that. Then another thing, we eat, like I said, a lot of fish. So when I went to the bigger stores, like when I went to Kroger, I was able to get some salmon. I was able to get shrimp. That's because that's what I eat. So you have to just think smart. Where can you, again, get the best value as it pertains to your meat? Now, we have an Aldi coming. I've only heard great things about it. Y'all, I live in a small state. We just now getting one. I know I've been to some out of town, but I've heard really great things about like the value and how you can really stretch a dollar when it comes to your meat. But again, just think in terms of the meat not being the main dish, and you'll be able to really construct your meals in a different way. Okay. Now, for my people who don't eat meat, because again, some of y'all know I went vegan for a while. I've gone vegetarian for a while. Both of my pregnancies were vegan or vegan vegetarian. And so if you want meat substitutes, you can get mushrooms, of course. Now, mushrooms can be a little bit expensive, depending on the type of mushrooms, but you can have a lot of variety, and you can still work with some canned mushrooms, to be honest with you. And they even have them frozen. I didn't know that until yesterday. Then you have what's called hearts of palm. Now, I did some videos. I'm trying to think back. I did some videos on my TikTok when I was vlogging my pregnancy, showing you guys all of the things that I eat pregnant, as a vegan, vegetarian, woman who was pregnant. And hearts of palm is a really good one because this one replaces like your fish. There was a recipe for like fish sticks. There was a recipe for fried fish. This is a really good meat substitute. It comes in a jar and in these stocks, and it spreads really well and it's very inexpensive. Like a jar may have about 7 of the stocks in there, and it's only $5, I believe, in the grocery store. So something like that. Another thing that can really spread and go far, jackfruit. Jackfruit is, you can buy this in a can if you don't want to buy the really big fresh one, because again, you have to also think emergencies. We don't know where the economy is going, shelf life. You have to think all of these things to have things that's going to last over weeks, maybe even a month if needed. Okay. So always think like canned goods and bags first, then think fresh. Jackfruit. Jackfruit is like your pulled beef, pulled pork alternative. Okay. Really, really good if you flavor it up correctly. And honestly, y'all, a lot of y'all could go vegetarian and you really won't tell the difference. Y'all know us, as long as you got some soul, as long as you got some seasonings. And again, if you could be creative in the kitchen, you could probably go without some meat. Okay. But that's just my opinion. But these are really good meat substitutes. And I'll probably think of some other things later. Now, of course, you do have your Beyond Meat, what my husband likes to call fake meat, because it is. When I went vegan and vegetarian, I wasn't a really big fan of those because they're still super processed. If you notice in the list that I'm giving you, these are still things that's pretty healthy for you, especially if you're like me. I'm very weight conscious. I'm very body conscious. I like to be a certain size. I like to do things a certain way because I feel a certain way. So in no way am I trying to shame anybody. It's because when I'm a certain weight, when I have a certain figure, I feel all around energy, physically, I feel a certain way. So that's the reason why everything that you hear me going over is going to be like, even with the meats, it's more like the lean things. And then the sides, because you're cooking more fresh or because you're just cooking in general, is going to be better than the overly processed stuff. And it's going to be healthy for you. I don't have anything processed on my list. Okay. So your meat substitutes, I just went through that. I know there's going to be more that I think of. Like, for example, you can use walnuts, and that can be your replacement for things like ground beef. And I've done all different types of things: tacos, enchiladas, lasagnas with walnut meat. Okay. Seasonings. I'm telling y'all, I know it sounds crazy, but if you know how to season and you know how to add a little pizzazz, this stuff tastes amazing. Okay. Next, we're going to get into like sauces and condiments because I'm really big into those as well. Okay. So sauces. Let me tell y'all one of the things that I use a lot. It is vegetable broth. Okay. Now, I do not get the vegetable broth that's in the carton or in the can or the jar. What I do is the Better Than Better Than Bouillon. Hold on. I use the Better Than Bouillon brand. And I always, always, always make my own broth. And because I'm doing this with mostly veggies and potatoes, I'm also able to reuse my broth. Keep in mind, I'm using vegetable broth. So that basically is when I mix the solution with the water and I create a really good broth. And let's say I throw some broccoli in there, or let's say I throw some spinach in there. Once all the broccoli is gone, the juice is still there. And because it's vegetable broth to begin with, and I used it for veggies, I can take that broth, I can throw it in a mason jar, I can put it in the fridge, and I can reuse it. And I can do this over and over again. Now, I've never made broth from like meat drippings, so I don't know the shelf life on that. So I cannot educate you on that. But when it comes to the veggies, I can tell you there were times where I had jars of broth that I previously used in other dishes and I recycled. Another thing that you can do this with, and I know y'all might think that I'm crazy, pickles, jalapenos, that vinegar juice that's left, keep that juice. It's really good in like spinach or greens or anything where you need like that little vinegary hit. Or if you like that hit, or say you're doing something kind of like lemon pepper, you can add a little bit of that juice and it elevates it to a whole nother level, y'all. I'm really big on broth. Like my son, he loves it. And then keep in mind, broth can also be used in stews, in soups, going back to what I was saying from the very beginning, in pasta. So you can recycle this broth over and over again. And again, y'all, ooh, it elevates your dish on a whole nother level. And the fact that you can recycle it and you don't have to keep going out buying more broth is insane. Okay. Condiments. Now, condiments is one of those things that kind of sneak up on you because you do all of your grocery shopping, you get your meats, you get your vegetables, and then you realize I need hot sauce, I need mustard, I need mayo, I need ranch, I need this, I need that. Let me tell y'all one condiment that you can do so many things with. Mayonnaise. Literally mayonnaise. You can make spreads, you can make ranch, you can make so many different sauces and spreads and things with mayonnaise being the base. Okay. Tartar sauce. Mayonnaise is the base. You're just mixing in, lemon, pickles, whatever, thinning it out. You may add a little bit of water. You may add a little bit of, whatever. Mayonnaise is a really good base if you're like short on your condiments. Make sure you got your big old jar of mayonnaise. I ain't gonna get into the brand. Y'all might not like my brand. I might not like y'all brand. And plus, again, I try to go with like the vegan mayonnaise, just for me. But every now and then I'll use regular mayonnaise as well. But listen, mayonnaise is a really good base for so many things. Look that up, okay? Then another thing I want to talk about, oil. You always want to have your oils. That's another thing that can and will sneak up on you. Now with oil, especially because the price of oil keeps going up. And y'all, I'm talking about vegetable oil, canola oil, whatever type of oil you use. Now, if you're vegan, a lot of them like grapeseed oil because of how it heats. I'm very big on extra virgin olive oil. There's so many different oils. There are oils that I do not use at all in my household, but I'm not trying to tell you what to do. Some people even use coconut oil to fry with, right? So there's so many different types of oils and they do try to get you on the price. You want to make sure that you price compare and really stand there and price compare because 14 ounce might be one price, but then the 20 ounce might just be a couple of dollars more, or you might get double or triple the oil. And when you do the math, you find that the biggest one is the best bang for your buck. Another thing, I reuse oil. Now, I know Big Mama them used to reuse their chicken oil and oil from frying fish and stuff back in the day. With my meats, I don't really reuse the oil. But let's say I'm making French fries, right? And I'm frying it in the oil. My oil, 9 times out of 10, is still clean because I don't season my fries until after they come out of the grease, okay? So I can reuse that oil. Again, y'all got to understand, though, I'm doing a lot with mostly vegetables. And again, we eat really lean. But just start to look. Now, if you do fry a lot of chicken and and your oil isn't really grimy or dirty, and you can filter it as well. You can run it through a strainer. Reuse that oil, y'all. Don't be pouring out that oil. Reuse it, and sometimes you can mix what was used previously with some fresh, okay? And you can elevate again, make a whole nother dish. Then the last thing that I want to talk about is seasonings, because y'all know we love a good seasoning, right? And it's literally what makes the dish, regardless of what you're cooking, is what makes the dish. Seasoning, look. There were times where we would go shopping and we would have all of these different seasonings, the garlic powders, the onion powders, the paprika, the salt, the pepper, the Cajun seasoning, the steak seasoning. I can go on and on. Cayenne pepper, literally, I can go on and on. Well, this go around, what I did was a really big thing of seasoning. And it was one of those like all-purpose, multi-purpose type seasonings. If you read the ingredients on them, a lot of times you'll notice with these seasonings, they have everything that you are buying individually. So now instead of all of your cooking videos, you're doing 10 different seasonings, you could have just had one, or you could have did a mixture of the seasonings with no salt. I love my salt-free seasonings, but I mixed them with seasonings that do have salt. But I got a really big thing of Tony's, y'all. I know some of y'all are familiar with Tony's, and it had so many of the ingredients that I was doing individually. So start looking at your seasonings. Get you one that you can use on literally almost every dish, and then mix it with your salt-free seasonings or your powders. Then there's your breads. Now, in my household, we don't eat a whole lot of bread. And when it comes to bread with our dinners, bread is really optional. So Again, it's optional. But one bread that we use a lot because you can use it breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that bread is tortillas. Okay. Also, with all of the things that I gave you, from the beans to the veggies to the potatoes to the rice to the meats, you can make wraps, you can make tacos, you can make burritos, you can do all types of things with tortillas, and you'll definitely save a bulk because sometimes you can buy these in bulk. Now, nothing wrong with getting loaves of bread, but again, think shelf life. Sometimes they do expire very quickly, where tortillas may last a little bit longer. Another thing that I want to get into, and I plan on getting into really soon, is making my own bread. Even though we don't eat a lot of bread, I think that is a really good skill to have, especially if you're a homemaker, if you're a mom, if you cook a lot, if you care about health, right? Make your own bread, because from what I'm seeing, it's just what, two to three, maybe three to four ingredients and a little bit of patience, right? But you can do this, and this is a good way for it to spread. You got to understand, breads are the base of so many things as well. If you know how to make breads, you can make tortillas, you can make pie crust, you can make desserts, you can make, muffins, you can make cornbread, you can make rolls, you can make sliced bread. The list literally goes on, okay, on and on and on. But if you're not in that, if that's not your ministry right now, making your own bread, definitely have tortillas at the top of your list, because you can get really, really creative with some tortillas and they can go really far. And guys, that's it. That's the end of my list. I know I did more like dinner foods. If you guys want me to do breakfast foods, I mean, a lot of what I did, you can also do for lunch. But if you want me to do another video like this, going over breakfast foods that you can do that can really spread, let me know down in the comments. If you found value in this video, please let me know down in the comments. It was kind of uncomfortable for me to do this type of video because I don't really do, even though I know I'm a stay-at-home mom, I'm a homemaker, and all of those things, and I cook literally almost every day. That didn't come to mind for me to start doing anything in the food realm. But I knew when I went grocery shopping yesterday and I came back with 30, 40 items under $100, I was like, okay, I know that I can help a lot of people. Let me know if I did that for you. Make sure you save this video, share with a friend. And guys, let's just pray and put really good energy out there that this economy and just everything gets better. All right. Bye, y'all.